Hi everyone, how's everyone doing here today? Thank you for watching. Got a nice little sunny day out here. So I wanted to talk about a few things, and I wasn't sure how to title this originally when I was thinking about it. And it's political. It's in regards to a video I saw about some interviews that were going at a Trump rally. Now I know what some of you are probably thinking already, like, no, I'm not really here to talk about any one particular politician or party, but there was something that was interesting about this particular Trump rally. Now, a lot of them we see, they tend to get a little rally, they get kind of cultish looking with all the flags and everything like that. I'm not getting into that, because this wasn't some mainstream media, and it wasn't any independent media that I had heard of. I think they were just random people just going out on interviews at a particular Trump rally not too long ago. I don't even remember the state, but it was the substance behind it that what caught my attention. And what they were pretty much doing is just talking to them. Not so much about who they were supporting or voting for, but more they were interested in what some of the issues that were going on that were really important to them. And to my surprise, a lot of them brought up some pretty valid issues that even I have concerns about. One that stood out the most amongst a lot of the different people they spoke to is that they don't like the way they see in the news, or they hear about all the time, something going on with wealthy politicians that are, corrupt and in cahoots with big corporations. They don't like the fact that the millionaire class, seems to control and dictate a lot of things to their own benefit and advantage, of course, while the working people and those living in poverty pretty much get the shaft. And that's something I've expressed concerns for as well. The interviewer did point out one slight contradiction, but he didn't do it like in a reproachful way, or like he wasn't looking for a gotcha moment. He just mentioned that you're kind of supporting this one candidate who is in fact a billionaire. So do you think that kind of makes sense? And they kind of understood it. But overall, he just wanted to understand some of their problems. And the simple truth of the matter is, whether it's just like a Trump voter or a Trump supporter or somebody who's like really entrenched in a cult-like fashion, the simple truth is a lot of these people have legitimate problems that burden them. They have legitimate concerns, that a lot of us share, okay? So even though you might not be living in the same state, you may not support the same candidates or the party, but truth be told, they have their lives and they want to see change just like the rest of us do, okay? I thought that was really pretty interesting. In the past, in face-to-face discussions with friends, I don't talk about politics much, but I've been known to, and sometimes it actually can be a civil conversation. It doesn't always get hostile, and when you put the people aside, or the candidates I should say, it's easier for them to focus on, because like I said, some of them are just looking for change. That's all it is. Now, whether you agree with the person that they're voting for might be able to bring that change is one thing. But that goes to some other thoughts I had, okay? And like I said, it's not about one politician. I'm trying to keep this as bipartisan as possible. So rather than go by colors or by parties, I'll just use the simple apples and oranges, okay? You have some people that prefer apples, and then you've got some that prefer oranges, okay? I don't know what you prefer, but to give you an idea, let's say, for example, the orange states are doing really well, but a lot of the red states, which are more of a majority of, aren't doing so well, okay? Now, that's based upon statistics, and it varies per state, but here would be my first thought when supporting candidates or choosing who to vote for, or even a party to support, I should say. But then again, like I said, it's not about party, which I'll get into. Looking at a particular state, what is going on with, let's say, its economics, some states that aren't doing well, don't have a good job performance, or, there's not a lot of available jobs, or unemployment is high, or they have a high mortality rate, or there's a lot more crime or mass shootings that go on in that state. There's a lot of things to consider. Now, the one thing I've never really understood, and maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way, but there are some politicians out there, I'm not going to say any names, who, for the most part are just about as corrupt as can be, or they're not really doing the job. Now, who or whether you think they're doing the job or not, that all depends on point of view, but my feeling is this: if you've got, and it's not necessarily a president, it could be like a senator, it could be like a governor, but if they've been in that position for a long time, and over the years you're still seeing the same problems, the state is still in bad shape, my one thought is, and I'm asking this in a, constructive way, why don't they just vote them out? If these politicians are not doing a good job, if they're catering more to the rich upper class or to the wealthy donors, you seriously got to ask yourself, is this really the person I still want in charge? Okay? And I not only look at everything from my particular state, sometimes it's getting a little buggy out, sometimes I think about other states, because in the midterms back in 2022, I did in fact do a little volunteer work and make donations to candidates in other states, believe it or not, because what I was trying to do is prevent, whether it's the oranges or the apples, one of them from getting too much of a foothold between the Senate and the House. Because if one of the two fruits is not doing their job, if they're not passing bills or doing things to help the American people, if they're catering more towards wealthy donors, then they shouldn't be in charge. Let the other fruit have the majority. Okay? It all depends on who is really doing the job, who is really serving the American people, because that's what it boils down to. So I'm not trying to tell anybody who to vote for. I'm not telling you who you should support, because in the end, you have to make that choice. And the only thing I would say is, look at the track record, look what's going on in your state. And also keep in mind that just because, let's say, you live in an orange state or an apple state, that doesn't mean that every single person in there votes orange or apple, depending. Some districts are more orange and some are more apple. Maybe the state on the whole is predominantly orange, but you still got some apple voters in there. And a lot of them, like you, would like to see change too, would like to see improvement on some level. And if you're not getting it from the candidates in your area, when the opportunity comes, you got to make a choice. Now, one of the problems I've had is when I've done phone banking, just to get people to vote or support a certain candidate, sometimes I get people that just don't want to vote anymore. And that's something I've spoken out against. I've always encouraged people to get on and vote. Not telling you who to vote for, but just get out and vote. And believe it or not, back in 2016, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but a lot of people didn't vote. And in the midterms and in 2020, the election, those numbers improved. A lot more people got out and got involved in the election. So, as I always say, regardless of your age, if you're somebody that just came of age, get registered and get prepared to vote in the next election. And again, don't make it about, the general elections. Don't just vote once every 4 years for a presidential candidate. Get involved in the primaries, get involved in the midterms, get involved in the local elections. The local elections are equally important, and obviously I can't vote for somebody in another state that I don't live in, but I can find ways to support those candidates from time to time. It can get a little convoluted, it can get a little spread out, and that goes to my other point is, not just be aware of who you're voting for, make sure you have solid information as to whether or not they're the right person for the job. Base it on data, base it on facts. Don't just go by, the media. Yeah, the media reports news and accomplishments and stuff, but is more based upon evidence and facts that they're trying to talk about, or is it just propaganda? Because if it's more propaganda, then chances are there's a bias there, and they're always going to try and paint one better than the other, even if that candidate or that party is not better. I'm sorry, fruit. The other thing I would ask people is to just get involved, and there are a lot of ways, and there's a few ways you can do that. The top one of the list, voting, as I just said. And I cannot stress that enough, as to reiterate, get registered if you're not already done. Be aware of the polling places in your area where you're supposed to go. If you can vote early, that's great. If you rather vote by mail, that's fine, or absentee ballot. You don't always have to wait till election day, which some people do, based upon, misinformation about widespread voter fraud, and I don't want to get off track. What are the other things you can do to help out? And that is phone banking. And these things I'll talk about. I'm just going to go through some of them, but I'll talk about them in different videos in more detail for those of you who've never done it before. You can do canvassing, going out there, door to door to try and get people on board to support certain candidates that you think are either in the job and doing the job and you want them to stay, or support the candidates to go against the ones that you feel are not doing a good job and you want them out. And just to be fair, you can find bad apples on either side of the fruits, all right? You got bad oranges, you got bad apples. So, believe me, if I see a party that I lean more towards and I see members in there not doing the right thing, and they might be in a different state that I can't vote, but if they're in my state, yeah, I'm going to vote against them. And if they're in like I said, a state that I don't live in, whoever's running against them, I'm going to show some support for that candidate. Why? Because I want the bad fruit out. Period. What are some other things you can do? There's postcards that you can do to help put out, to help promote a candidate. There's also letter writing, which I've done that too. There's texting, which I've also done. I don't think it's that effective. It all depends on you. And above all, I forgot, you can make donations. That's an easy way of doing it that doesn't require such a time commitment or an effort commitment. And how much and to whom? Again, that all depends on you. So, when I see candidates of an opposing party, just because they don't share my political beliefs doesn't mean I'm necessarily against them per se. I just don't like the candidates that they support. If there are those that are being violent, that are breaking the law, that are doing, immoral, unlawful things, those are the people that I'm opposed to. I don't care what side you're on. You shouldn't be doing stuff like that at all. And I've spoken out against political violence in the past, and unfortunately, we still got a lot of it going on. Okay, we still got ways to go. And the ways to improve, like I said, is change. And you get change by getting the right people in, doing the job, and getting out the ones that aren't doing the job. Seriously, you may have somebody in your party that you like, but if they're spending all their time, like, on social media, on specific outlets that, cater to their type of propaganda, you got to ask yourself, are they really doing the job? Have they voted in any bills that have helped you? And not just you or the people in your state, but the country on a whole. Because like I said, it's not about me. I've supported certain initiatives or certain bills in the past, like student loan forgiveness or raising the minimum wage. I don't really gain a lot with those because I do okay. I'm not great, I'm not wealthy, I'm not living the good life, but I do okay. But there are a lot of other people out there that need help. So if bills like this can benefit them, I say go for it. Not everything has to be about me or about my state. It's about, like I said, the country on the whole. Whether you live in an orange state or an apple state, I say if you're somebody that needs help, you should get help. Okay? And no, I don't see stuff like that as, free lunches or certain benefits or free health care for people as socialism. No, I see it as our government doing the job. In the end, they are supposed to be serving us, regardless of which side of the fruit that they're supporting. Their job is to support us. And if they're not doing it, they gotta go. It's that plain and simple. The other issue I see is it's all based on tribalism, which I've spoken out against, which I don't believe in. Guess what? Sometimes I voted for an orange candidate, sometimes I voted for an apple candidate. Why? Because at the time I felt that that particular candidate was the right person for the job, or that the other one wasn't good enough. Some people have said, well, I always vote orange, but I don't like the particular orange that's running. He's doing a lot of bad things. But if I have to vote for an apple, no, I can't do that. I got to vote for the orange. Why? Why? There's nothing in stone that says once you choose a party, you're married to that party. Guess what? I've done one or the other in the past, okay? I don't, just... If there are too many members in my party not doing the right thing, like I said, they gotta go, and I'm gonna vote against them if I can, okay? And sometimes you might have a situation, which I've also talked about, where you have two fruits which aren't all that great. They're both kind of spoiled, and you think to yourself, it's the lesser of two evils. If that truly is the case, well then ask yourself, which is the lesser evil? Use your judgment. Or, like I said, look at their track records and see which one looks a little bit more appealing than the other one, even though they both look pretty bad. Damn, get out of here. My fan club. In a case like that, go for the lesser of two evils, but never forego an election, because, like I said, if you do something, some change might happen. But if you do nothing, then nothing's going to happen. And in plenty of cases I've seen in certain elections where certain people don't vote, and the candidate they were opposed to, because they thought both of the candidates were bad, but the one that they were really supposed to, they win. And where does that go? Okay, this mosquito has definitely got a hard on for me, so my overall message is get out, get involved. I'll do more videos on it. And like I said, talk to people. Get an idea of what their issues are and stuff like that. Because you'd be surprised how, whether somebody is for your particular fruit or not, if you're an apple person and you meet into an orange someone, you might find your worlds are not that far apart, even though you share different political beliefs. So I could give you plenty of examples, that I've seen. This one particular video stood out for me, and it made me think. So, like I said, I like to get more involved to help all of America, not just myself. I hope you others can do the same thing. I really hope you understand. Thank you for watching.